Hi, Cohens here again, known colloquially around these parts as the Walking Constitution. And I have some interesting videos for you this week. We're going to start out with the one in recent news. You may have seen it with the quote unquote replacement theory that's been criticized by the left wing, mindless mainstream media across the board. And what they're talking about is true, by the way, and I make no apologies for it because the sovereign body politic of the nation and republic, not to mention sovereign independent states, free, white, male, 21. No apologies. That's the way it was. That's the way it is. And especially according to the definition of citizen, Bouvier's Law Dictionary 1859. We'll talk more about that later. But the big deal here with replacement theory, from my peculiar perspective, is that what happened at 5:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, July 28th, 1868, with the announcement of the ratification, with a capital R-A-T, of the non-existent 14th Amendment, the sovereign independent states admitted into this union were replaced by, at best, federal territorial possessions. That's the big deal. That quote unquote Amendment 8 made all of us equal, not by elevating the freedmen to the status of state citizens, which could not be done in the manner this amendment was ratified, but by reducing all of us to either statelessness or to slaves, what they call a guardian and ward relationship today, more readily recognizable as master and slave. Sovereign body politic isn't here. And as you'll learn by getting my materials, send me an email, uwinningcourt@gmail.com. I have contemporaneous case law that talks about the then 13th Amendment that was in existence, but the 14th is the same thing with regard to the last sections of each, where if you owe your citizenship, or what I call birthright citizenship, to that amendment, you can't, all you can ask are legislative questions. The government owns you lock, stock, and barrel, not to mention your family, your kids, you name it, your posterity, they own you. See you later. Now, that's not how it started out. We had a right to not only go into judicial courts, but as I've said in earlier videos, Cohens v. Virginia, the Supreme Court of the United States said we have a right to present our case to that court. Yet we can't even get documents filed in most of these trial courts these days. So there's some obvious problems there. We'll learn more about that. But the deal is, with no need, if we don't have any rights, the de facto national socialist government is bound to respect. Why bother with any judicial courts? And by golly, they don't exist, at least overtly, anywhere. And I'm still sending out love letters to various governors to ask them to identify where the judicial court is. One of them has to be in every county of every state admitted into this union. Simple as that. If we don't have any, we don't have states. And that's the issue that's going to bring these bastards down. We assert that and say, where are they? Where's the consent of the governed? The four magic words. They don't have it. All they have are federal territorial possessions, and even then you'll learn by getting my materials. Send me an email, uwinningcourt@gmail.com, that even in territories, the Supreme Court has ruled that the federal district court has dual jurisdictions. One is a territorial tribunal, the other as an Article 3 circuit court. Where are they? How can we possibly invoke our rights secured by the Constitution if there's no judicial court in which to do it? And more importantly, no common law jury that has the power to rule on the facts and the law. It goes all the way back to Magna Carta. And you can read about it in a book by Lysandra Spooner called Essay on Trial by Jury, circa 1850. A very bright man. He was an attorney, by the way, but back in the day when they occasionally actually did their jobs and they understood the original intent of the Constitution. See you later today. Ain't virtually nobody out there, with the possible exception. I'm going to give a shout out here to Edith Holland Jones on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. And that's probably the most conservative court in the United States. And they've made some astounding decisions, particularly lately, as has the U.S. Supreme Court. And that's where we're going to pick up a lot of leverage against these bastards that are trying to oppress us, because now these courts are going to have our backs. Maybe not on all of our issues, but we don't need them to. We get 1, 2, maybe even 3. That's enough because of the magnitude of the issues, that you'll learn about. Send me an email, uwinnincourt@gmail.com, and I'll fill you in on all of it. It's an unprecedented window of opportunity to make real progress in returning the original intent of the framers with our federated Republican government of defined and limited powers, and sending this much ballyhooed democracy, aka 3 bulls and 2 sheep voting on West Virginia, back to Pyongyang, North Korea. They can have it, and thank you very much. So as I said here at the ending, what we all have to do is get together, all on the same page, cut out this divide and conquer BS they've been trying to do, for over 150 years. And it includes recent events in Buffalo and Texas, by the way. The underlying theme there is to get federal control over guns so they can take the whole country over, like what happened in Czechoslovakia in 1938 with good old Uncle Adolf Hitler. So there's some difficult times there. And by the way, I'm not making light of either of those situations. Terrible, terrible tragedies. And we'll probably never know really what happened. Just like we don't, for example, know in Dealey Plaza with quote unquote Lee Oswald. Story for another day. And you can go back to assassins like that all the way to John Wilkes Booth. And I'll do that on a video on a future time. But the pattern and practice of this government is to do exactly what it does to try to stay in power at all costs and keep its New York bankster bosses in the big bucks. That's what it is we have to stop. And I think we have a window of opportunity here like never before in which to do it. So that said, subscribe, like my videos, tell your friends, get the word out. As soon as we start all working together here on the same page, we get these bastards off our backs. Thank you.